Hey YouTube, JonseyG here. I'm all gussied up in this nice, beautiful shirt because I am not tackling, but I am there's a thunderstorm outside my window. So you may occasionally hear thunder. I hope that's not a problem for all people on the East Coast. But anyway, you and I are going on a small journey together today. It is Friday the 14th of June, and about almost 10 years ago today, on this day in 2015, I lost my grandfather, Michael Bradford, to a brain aneurysm. He was an inventor of sorts, and he created such an awesome machine. I will post the picture of the machine in a short after I finish this, so you get an idea of what the machine looks like. It's called the Genesis. That's a warning about lightning and thunder, and so don't worry about it. He created a machine called the Genesis, which is a biofeedback inner aura chakra uplifting device. It's got a bed in the middle. It's an octagon with a bed in the middle. It is no longer for sale, but you could use it to get your inner rhythm and your inner peace into a good way. And he created it himself, was even in the New Yorker magazine. It was such an incredibly powerful device. I wish there was a Genesis around here. I wish I could videotape one for you so that you could get an idea of what a Genesis really looks like, because they are so wonderful and so incredible to use. I feel like I'm going into a whole new universe when I'm in it. You play music on a separate machine. It's hooked up to the Genesis, and music coupled with the Genesis just amplifies your inner being, your chakra, your biofeedback, your biology, everything there is to do with you. And one of the best things I found about Grandpa Bradford was that he and I could sit up all night and talk about the Genesis and talk about Star Trek, because he met a couple of actors from that show or those shows. He met from the original series. He met he was at a Star Trek convention. He got to meet John Delancey from The Next Generation, who plays Q. He met, just a whole bunch of people. And one of his machines was being shown there. And because of that, I got to go to a Star Trek convention. And I got to see and get autographs from Q, and I got to meet Chekhov from the original series. And my shirt is actually glowing on my face. That's pretty cool. And I got to experience so much love and warmth. He lived in a town called Delaware, which is in Ohio. It's right outside Columbus. And he lived in the middle of the country. It was just so peaceful and quiet. It wasn't homesteading per se, but it was just out in the middle of nowhere. And it was so beautifully relaxing. There was a little stream going through it. He had a cave on his property. He had a guest house where he always worked. He called it a guest house. I usually called it an office. And when my family first met the Bradfords, I didn't know at the time that my mother was going to buy a Genesis. And we went there to pick it up. And we were in an RV. It was my mother, my sister, and I. And we got the Genesis, or she got the Genesis, but in the process, we destroyed their driveway. They had newly gravelized, made their driveway into new gravel and all this other stuff. And the RV was too big, and we just destroyed their gravel driveway, and they ripped our antenna off the RV. So it was a mutual destruction situation. And later on, I met Grandpa Bradford, who wasn't yet my grandfather. And my mother decided, albeit very, let's just say the relationship didn't work out. She married someone from the Bradford family, and it wasn't a great relationship to be married to, but that's neither here nor there, because when they got married, I was now a part of the Bradford clan. And that is the best thing that could ever happen to my life. Because then Michael Hern Bradford came into my life completely and became my grandfather. He showed me the Genesis. He showed me a picture of him with Star Trek's Q. He showed me the property. He showed his compassion and love for everything that he was. He allowed me to meet her, which is my sister. I'm going to call her Alexis. So Those are paintings that Alexis drew. And these, I'm going to show you some creative figurines that she made. See this? This is a figurine that she made. Yeah, see? And she also made this one. She is a very creative person. And here's another. It's the same one, but you can kind of tell that it's got different colors. See that? I'm bending it the wrong way. There you go. See, it's got different colors. So she came into my life because of Grandpa Bradford. And just the whole Bradford clan was cemented in our first meeting. And he was everything you could use for a therapist and for a friend and for a grandfather and for someone you needed in your life. And when he died that day, when I got that phone call 9 years ago today, it was one of the best and yet worst phone calls I've ever gotten. It was one of the best because I hadn't spoken to Alexis in such a long time. But the news she was giving me was possibly the worst. Because she told me that Give me a minute. This is the first time I'm crying on a YouTube video. She told me that my grandfather Bradford had died. And my soul was completely crushed because such a wonderful man was lost to time and to space and to life and to love and just not being able to have conversations with him ever again and not being able to know the man ever again is such a detriment to the universe. I don't know what any of you believe about religion or about faith or what I call heaven is, I call it Sovngarde because there was a game called Skyrim and that's what they all called heaven. So I call heaven Sovngarde as well. And I don't know really what my religion or my faith is right now, but I tend to believe Grandpa Bradford is in Sovngarde right now. Although it is kind of freaky that there is a golfer out there, a professional golfer named Miguel Jimenez, and he reminds me so much of Grandpa. He just has that kind of personality like Grandpa did. And another aspect of Grandpa that I miss is just being able to bounce stuff off. I showed him my haircut right after I got my hair dyed, and he said that he loved my hot pink hair. And I said I was trying to make a statement, and he said, "That's a statement I love. You should have it more often." And I'm trying, but I haven't been able to dye it lately. There is a game that I've played that a lot of you might be able to relate to. It's called Wind Waker, and it's a part of the Legend of Zelda series. And there's a certain part in the game where you have to go to this tower and prove yourself worthy. And once you do, you have to ring a bell in order to say, "Hey, I've done everything that you've asked. Now, let me show you that I'm a hero." And when I found out that Grandpa died, that tower was a new trial. It was a trial to prove that Grandpa belongs in Sovngarde and that I vow to get him there every time I play that game. And I ring the bell for him every single time. Sometime in the future, you will hear me ring the bell for Grandpa. The next time I go to play Wind Waker, you're going to hear me ringing the bell for Grandpa. And it will be the most glorious thing that I put onto the channel for a while. I wanted to do this video in a certain way, but due to technicalities that I could not have foreseen, I don't have the tools that I normally would. So I don't have an ending slate for my videos for the time being. Hit the like and subscribe buttons. It's going to do all of us a world of good if you like this channel. I know this is about Grandpa, but he would want me to self-plug. He's that type of guy that would have absolutely loved to check out my channel because he loved everything about me. He wanted to know who I was. He wanted me to share my life with him and with the world. So, from this moment going forward, everything that I put on the channel is dedicated to him, to my cousin Richie, to my grandmother Lois, and to those family and friends that I have lost over the years. But most importantly, to Grandma Lois, to Richard Worth, to Michael Bradford, my little cat Molly, who I lost a couple of years ago. The channel is now for them. And I am dedicating my future on that channel to those people and to making this journey that I am on the best that it can be. You will not see any stupidity or trolling or anything of an ugly nature on this channel, because those people were not ugly. Their hearts were beautiful. The Genesis was beautiful. And I want to share their lives with you because they deserve to be remembered, just like Grandpa Bradford deserves to be remembered. Yes, I'm crying, but it's because I loved him. I'm crying for all of you who will never get a chance to meet him or to know him or to see such a beautiful heart and such a wonderful soul. You would have loved him as soon as you saw him. There are times he didn't make any sense, but that was half the fun. He didn't have to make sense. He went on trips and went to a variety of different places and just spent so much time trying to find the best way to live his life. What happened to him at the end of his life was unfortunate. Just a lot of different things that happened to his life and I keep looking up at my sister Alexis because they had a great relationship. Alexis and Grandpa did. And I didn't find out about it until much later, and I know she mourns him all the time. I put my hand on my chest because when I think of Grandpa, my heart just sings. But it mourns so deeply for a man that is no longer here. He was such a glorious guy. But he is missed by so many people. The times that he spent with my mother and his friend Don Johnson, who is unfortunately also left us. It's on a laugh track. And it's one of the funniest things you could ever hope to hear. And I have it on my old computer. I wish I had it hooked up. because it's so just, the three of them were hilarious together, and it didn't make any sense to anyone, but that was the fun of it. Grandpa Bradford, wherever you are, I love you. I miss you very much. And I will ring the bell for you. And I there is an episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation, called The Inner Light. And Captain Picard lives a lifetime in only a half hour. And at the end of the episode, he gets a flute. And he plays the most heartbreaking song. And I would play it with you and for you on this video. But due to copyright infringement, I will not go there. Look up the episode Inner Light and listen to that song. It's about wanting something so bad and not being able to have it. And that's what Grandpa Bradford meant to me. That one song. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was hard to listen to at times. But that's what Grandpa Bradford did. He was hard to listen to at times. He was hard to understand at times. But for those in the inner circle, eventually, he always made sense. Rest in eternal peace, Grandpa Bradford. Eternal peace. That's all I hope to ever have you have. Know that you're loved, and those of us in the Bradford clan and out of it will think of you and remember you always. Your granddaughter, JonseyG. Signing off.